Hey guys, Jackdaw here. So Tevinter Nights released a year ago and you bet I am still talking about this magnificent book that's setting up the future Dragon Age title. For those who haven't read the book, heavy spoilers are ahead as I run down each story and the major characters mentioned and introduced in Tevinter Nights. For those of you who've already read the book, well, hopefully I've noted and discovered things that perhaps you may have missed or forgotten about regarding certain characters in this novel. For the sake of this video's length, there is an emphasis on major characters. By that, I mean the ones who took full center stage in these stories, appearing most relevant for potential future ties. With that said, in the book's chronological order, let's delve into the many characters that were revealed and mentioned in Tevinter Nights. 3 Trees to Midnight by Patrick Weeks. Miriam. Miriam is a Tevinter mage, not a Magister, from the city Ventus that was recently destroyed during the Qunari Antam's invasion in Dragon Age Deception. Miriam comes from a slave family and only became an official Tevinter citizen when he started showing signs of magic, as of which the owner of the factory where he worked adopted him into his family. During the Antam invasion, Miriam was captured by the Qunari and was sent to chop wood for the Qun in the outskirts of the Antivan forest, while chained to an elven male. Strife. Strife is a tall Starkhaven elf with silvery hair and a strong build. He's at least 50 years old and has no Valisleen. Strife left the Starkhaven alienage after hitting a guard who was beating elven children. He was living in the woods when the Dalish found him and let him join their clan. Strife ended up chained to Miriam. After butting heads, the two prisoners worked together and escaped the Qun's grasp. They fled into the Antivan forest and were able to make their way to a Dalish clan with the help of Irulen, Strife's shape-shifting elf companion. Irulen is a Dalish shape-shifting mage who saved Strife and Miriam from Qunari imprisonment and, even worse, a potential Qunari lobotomy. Before the Qun were defeated, Strife told her to warn the clans that the Qunari plan on moving into Ravane. She returned later, having told the clans, and saved Strife and Miriam. The group then decided to head to their Dalish clan. Sakurax / the Huntmaster. The Huntmaster is a Qunari tracker in charge of chasing down and punishing would-be runaway slaves. After he killed one of the Qunari Antam leaders, known as Bastar, the Huntmaster revealed to Miriam and Strife that he's actually Sakurax of the Ben Hasrith. He was sent to confirm the rumours about the Antam in Ventus not acting in accordance with the Qun. After confirming these rumours to be true, he took command of the remaining Qunari and let Strife, Miriam, and Irulen go. The Dragon Age Day short story Ruins of Reality furthered 3 Trees to Midnight's plot. Set in the Antivan forest, Strife witnessed an illusion of himself as powerful magic cursed the forest. Him and Irulen braved the dark magics at play and retrieved a figurine of the elven goddess Gillanan for whatever purpose. The short story's artwork revealed Strife wearing a mysterious cloak with floating triangles that bear similar to the Executor's logo. So, are Strife and Irulen working for the Executors, or is something else at play here? Hold on to that thought for the future. Down Among the Dead Men by Sylvia Fekadakudi. Guardsman Audric Velhassan. Audric Velhassan was a Nevarran guardsman before he was killed on duty by Lord Penric Khan's possessed corpse. However, he was brought back to life, caught between two spirits, anger and curiosity. A conflicted Audric awoke inside Nevarra's Grand Necropolis as the Mortalitatis Morn Watchers questioned Audric's attack and began an inquest into the matter. With the help of Morn Watcher Myrna, one of the elite guardians of the Grand Necropolis, Audric decided to confront the Pride Demon who possessed Lord Khan's corpse. He later discovered that the, quote, real Audric died during this attack, and he is indeed caught between two spirits. In order to find a balance between anger and curiosity, and to resolve his conflicted nature, Audric faced and challenged the Pride Demon that possessed Lord Penric Khan's corpse. After Myrna helped Audric defeat the demon, he felt a sad relief, like he had fulfilled his purpose. Myrna offered him a choice. Audric could rest in peace with his death, or work under the auspices of a Watcher. With much excitement, Audric was given the position to be in charge of the Necropolis's library. Morn Watcher Myrna. Myrna is a young Morn Watcher mage with pulled back hair. She's a guardian and keeper of the Grand Necropolis. It has always been the Morn Watcher's responsibility to assist both the dead and the living, and that is why she helped Audric uncover his true nature. The Horror of Hallmark by John Epler. Grey Warden Ramesh. Ramesh is a senior Grey Warden who's been with the Order for over 23 years. With his older age, his calling is almost upon him. Along with a small rescue party, Ramesh led an expedition into the Nevarran forest to search and find Senior Warden Jorvis and his recently missing group. Jorvis in particular meant everything to Ramesh at one point. However, the Wardens are called to a higher purpose, as death walks with every Warden. Grief is often buried beneath their duty, and it's easier to do that than care for another with love and friendship. The Wardens discovered an entrance to the Deep Roads with the name Hallmark encased in a dwarven rune. As they explored the Tig, they unearthed entirely elven ruins filled with twisted, mutilated creatures and a massive pool with a viscous grey fluid. The same symbol of the horns of a Hala were repeated on every single column. Ramesh approached one of these mutilated monsters. It was an enormous centipede that had hundreds of legs and a humanoid face. He recognized its face as a bloated and broken Warden Jorvis attached to this diabolical creature. Jorvis was able to recognize and communicate with Ramesh, even in this state. He told them that, quote, they made the Wardens drink from the grey pool, explaining his twisted nature. He added that they can't let, quote, her have it again, and the pool chamber must be destroyed. Jorvis lost control as the creature regained itself and took over. Grey Warden Lesha from Ramesh's search party sacrificed herself so Ramesh could leave and warn the rest of the Wardens about the horrors witnessed at Hallmark. Ramesh reluctantly escaped, remembering that this mountain he'd brought down, encased with all of its nightmares, was not the only one to which the Aravols brought their prey. There had been, before the images repeated, 11 others. His task was clear: warn the rest of the Wardens. Callback by Lucas Christiansen. Donald Sutherland and Company. Last seen in Dragon Age Inquisition, Donald Sutherland, now a landed knight known as Sir Donald of the Hinters, returned to Skyhold with his company to investigate the recent inquiries made by the caretakers about restoring the Rotunda's fresco. Donald's company included the elven mage mercenary Voth and the human rogue Shade. Upon arrival, the group discovered that Skyhold's caretakers had been brutally murdered, some even dismembered, the culprit of which emerged from the plasters of Solas's painted mural, a regret demon in the shape of a wolf and a dragon. The demon revealed that it was the regret of a god. The unfinished final panel of Solas's fresco revealed an outline of a beast that stood over both dragon and sword. This mural was drafted by Solas to represent his exchange between himself and Mafal after Corypheus was defeated. As Sutherland faced this demon alone, he regretted acting alone and using his friends. As the demon drew closer to Sutherland's regrets, the rest of the company, plus Dagna, Rat, Harriet, Morris, Cabot, and Alan Vermal, attacked the demon and sent it back to the Fate. Their victory was regarded by Divine Victoria herself. Luck in the Gardens by Sylvia Fekadikudi. Holix. Holix is one of the many nicknames of a mysterious Lord of Fortune, a new faction introduced in Tevinter Nights. The Lords of Fortune are a renowned guild of treasure hunters and dungeoneers based out of Ravane. Holix in particular is a master of disguise and can pass as pretty much anyone when needed, with their extensive use of makeups, accents, and plenty of outfits. While in Minrathous, Tevinter's capital city, Holix was hired by Dorian Pavis, last seen in Dragon Age Inquisition, and Meveris Tulani, who was introduced in Dragon Age Those Who Speak. The two hired Holix to hunt down a wicked, tentacled monster that lurked in the city's gardens. The creature was known as the Sakurax because it beheaded all of its victims. A young girl by the name of Mizzy witnessed some of the monster's attacks. With her help, Holix, Maeve, Dorian, and Mizzy headed to the monster's lair in the sewers of Minrathous. The group lured the Sakurax to the city gardens as the monster peeled open at the top to reveal a ring of dozens of eyeless heads. It spoke in the voices of its many victims. They killed the monster together as Dorian recalled what the Maltaratasi said about beasts of this nature, that it may be past the veil of the world, neither demon nor spirit. Holix extended an invitation to Mizzy. If she ever wanted to join the Lords of Fortune, she'd be more than welcome. Bidding their farewell to Dorian and Maeve, Holix set sail for Ravane. Hunger by Brianna Batty. Grey Warden Evka Ivo. Warden Evka is a dwarf born and raised in Orzammar. She's a profound member of House Ivo, one of Orzammar's many noble houses. However, Evka has been living on the surface as a Grey Warden for 3 years. Following orders directly from Fortress Weishaupt to escort new Grey Warden recruits to the Warden headquarters, Evka and a newly joined Elf Warden called Anton stop in a supposedly cursed village called Ikewell in the Anderfels. Some of the townsfolk had suddenly begun disappearing. The two Wardens agreed to help the villagers villagers uncover the truth. They discovered that a wayward son of a noble who was kicked out of the town for poisoning a chantry brother starved in the woods, which then attracted a demon of hunger. The noble's son was turned into a werewolf and it started infecting the townsfolk. Evka and Anton defeated the werewolf and saved the town. Grey Warden Antoine. Antoine is an elf from Orlais who was recently recruited as a Grey Warden. It was Antoine's belief in the Order's heroism that compelled him to help the villagers of Ikewell. While unearthing this town's mystery, Antoine was bitten before the werewolf was slain. However, they killed the werewolf soon after his affliction. Antoine and Evka believed that, with the werewolf defeated, the curse of the bite was also dead. Having saved lives and resolving the curse, the Wardens headed for Fortress Weishaupt, this time with no sidetracking or detours. In the hushed whispers of the village, the hungered demon endured, ready to prey on its next victim. The Dragon Age Day short story, the next one, revealed Evka's recruitment to the Grey Wardens. Evka was rescued by Warden Lawrence. She was attacked by a blighted creature with 2 mouths while in the Deep Roads. Lawrence's perseverance to save Evka was so insistent that he attracted a spirit of perseverance to keep fighting despite his fatal wounds. Evka ordered the spirit to release him and to tell him that she'd save the next one for him. Murder by Death Mages by Caitlin Sullivan Kelly. Sidoni. Last seen in Dragon Age Inquisition's multiplayer component, Sidoni is a Mortalitasi mage from Nevarra. She voluntarily became an agent of the Inquisition when she witnessed the breach firsthand. Her sole purpose was to research and study Thedas' biggest magical mystery of the age for her own advancement. Nothing and no one will stand in her way of reaching her full potential as a mage. After Corypheus was defeated, Cassandra Pendergast instructed Sidoni to return to Nevarra City to investigate claims of a Mortalitasi plot that involved assassinating a member of Nevarra's already unstable line of succession. Reluctantly, considering her hatred for her home country, Sidoni agreed to this assignment and headed to Nevarra City. She was handpicked by Cassandra because of her intimate knowledge of the Mortalitasi. Upon arrival, Sidoni attempted to make contact with her previous mentor, Lord Henrik, the one responsible for warning the Inquisition regarding this plot in the first place. However, Sidoni found his lifeless body in a city alleyway. With her former mentor dead, Sidoni contacted Antonia, a Mortalitasi mage who Sidoni met as a child. Antonia told her to head to a party hosted by Nicholas Reinhardt, a minor family but one of the oldest in Nevarra. Nicholas in particular enjoyed shouting accusations that the death mages of the Mortalitasi were ruling the kingdom through manipulation. At the party, Sidoni made acquaintances with Cyros, a very dapper elf who's accepted among many members of the Nevarran elite, considering he knows everyone's dirty secrets and scandals. After more nobles were killed, Cyros and Sidoni decided to work together to find the assassin. Lady Reinhardt, Nicholas Reinhardt's wife, was killed as both Cyros and Sidoni stood over her deceased body. Nicholas walked in to see the two over his dead wife and believed that they had killed her. He shouted at Cyros and claimed that he hired him to kill his rivals and blame the Mortalitasi for their deaths, not to employ a death mage and kill his wife. After Cyros explained that someone else must have killed Nicholas's wife before they arrived, Sidoni, frustrated at Nicholas's attempt to blame the Mortalitasi for these deaths, killed Nicholas and Cyros. Sidoni returned to the Grand Necropolis to attend Lord Henrik's funeral. She spoke with Antonia, who revealed that she was the one who killed Henrik and Reinhardt's wife in an attempt to give the Mortalitasi control over the Nevarran elite. She used Sidoni to expose the corruption of the elite so the Mortalitasi could rule without question. Sidoni killed Antonia for murdering Lord Henrik and later returned to Cassandra Pendergast, having dealt with this Mortalitasi assassination plot. The Streets of Minrathous by Brianna Batty. Neve Gallus. Neve Gallus is a human private investigator set up in the streets of Tevinter's capital city, Minrathous. She is a mage and has a single dwarven crafted prosthetic leg. Neve accepted a contract by a man called Otho Kalla, who wanted her to tail and pursue his nephew, Quinton Kalla, to see if he was secretly working with the Venatori. She witnessed Quinton assassinated in an alleyway by a figure in white and beige robes with a full face mask of polished bronze. The figure escaped the scene by using blood magic and reflecting one of Neve's spells onto herself. Before Quentin perished, he told Neve that it was almost the hour. Neve returned to Ophokala and informed him of his nephew's death. She reported the crime to Knight Templar Rana Sava and the rest of the Templars, who shared that Quentin Kala wasn't the only one who was ominously murdered last night. Lady Verantis was also killed. Uncoincidentally, another person with connections to the Venatori. Both Kala and Verantis had brutal neck marks as if necklaces were forcibly removed from their bodies. To inquire about the necklaces stolen, Neve met up with a con artist she'd turned in the year prior. His name was Elik Tavor. The two met in a tavern called the Lamplighter. Elik confirmed that Quentin Kala was looking for quiet ways to leave the city, perhaps connected to the anti-slavery movement or even for himself. He knew something bad was about to happen and made plans to leave. Neve left the tavern and was ushered by a strange robed Tevinter man with bloodshot eyes who inquired about Kala and Verantis' deaths, explaining that another was killed last week, someone by the name of Paxus. He shared further that the assassin was called Elia, and she took round clay discs that were encased in necklaces from their bodies. He then gave Neve one of the discs so she could inspect it for herself. As Neve continued her investigations and reported her findings with the Templars, she was attacked by the Venatori cultist Elia in between narrow streets of the city's lower markets. Elia drained power from Neve to unfold the necklace's enchantment and fled the scene with parts of the necklace having almost killed Neve. With the help of Flavian Batteris, Neve uncovered that the Venatori planned on unleashing a demon that dwelled below the city. The 8 necklaces were bound blood between members of the Venatori. They would be used to free the demon from its prison, restoring Minrathous to the Tevinter Corypheus promised. However, Kala, Verantis and Paxus refused to give their necklaces, thus explaining their deaths. Neve faced Elia and her Venatori alone in the city's catacombs until Knight Templar Rana Sava and the rest of the Templars joined the fight. They stopped the summoning ritual and Elia was incarcerated. Minrathous, for the moment, was safe from the evil clutches of the Venatori. Neve returned to Ophokala and told him that his nephew had left the Venatori so he could treasure Quentin's memory. She then walked away back into the streets of Minrathous. The Wigmaker Job by Courtney Woods. Lucanus Della Morte. Master Assassin of the Antivan Crows, Lucanus Della Morte is the favourite grandson of Caterina Della Morte, the first Talon. As of which, Lucanus is the heir to the first Talon of the Crows, but we'll talk more about that later on when we get to the story 8 Little Talents. Lucanus is lean, with dark hair and umber eyes. He's focused and intense, the kind of man you couldn't look away from until he looked at you. Along with his cousin Ilario Della Morte, the two crows were on their way to the Tevinter city Verantium, both contracted to assassinate Ambaros Forfex, Tevinter's premier wigmaker and high-ranking Venatori blood mage. Disgusted with Ambaros's method of feeding slaves red lyrium to create wigs, Lucanus and Ilario executed Ambaros, freed the slaves, and destroyed an elven artifact that allowed spirits of vengeance that once lingered to return to the fate. After fulfilling this contract and stacking up to around 40 deaths, Lucanus was known by the rest of the Venatori as the Demon. The two cousins spoke about Lucanus becoming the first Talon. However, Lucanus didn't believe that, and instead wanted Ilario to become the first Talon. Ilario Della Morte. Like his cousin, Ilario is a master assassin of the Antivan Crows, as well as one of Caterina Della Morte's grandsons. He's lean, with dark hair and umber eyes. However, Ilario is all smiles. He's got a calculated handsomeness, from his smooth skin to his perfect white teeth. And according to Lucanus, Ilario has a very good silver tongue. Ilario would love to be the first Talon. He believes it is his calling. However, that is not his call to make. Only Caterina Della Morte can decide who will take her place. Magister Zara Renata. Venatori Malefica Zara Renata is a Magister of the Imperium who seeks the death of Lucanus Della Morte along with her Venatori agents Crispin Cavlo and the sister of Livius Eramond, Felicia Eramond. They plan to exploit every one of Lucanus's flaws until the demon is defeated. Genitivi dies in the end by Lucas Christiansen. Brother Genitivi. Last witnessed in Dragon Age Origins, however, his literature has spread throughout Thedas and all games. Infamous Chantry scholar Brother Ferdinand Genitivi gathered legendary scholars Philum Abad and Sister Lordine together to write a manuscript about their experience finding the true history of the Elven Pantheon. Each writer used a pseudonym to protect themselves from the Qunari Antam. Philum Abad. Philem Bernard Lucius Trevelyan, more commonly known as Philem Ebard, is a freematcher known for plenty of literature spread throughout Thedas. However, Brother Genetivi thinks Philem is a thief, considering he reduced his 536-page book to a 20-page collection of cautionary yet enticing executions. Sister Laudine. Formerly a sister of the Chantry, Laudine is a young writer in her late 20s with long blonde hair. She has published many works, particularly about Orlais, which have been officially denounced by the Chantry. The three scholars ventured on an expedition that took them to the Silent Plains with the help of a hired Lord of Fortune. Mateo. Mateo is a Lord of Fortune. He's a broad-shouldered man covered with many trinkets that he's discovered throughout his years. He has a genuine appreciation for history, because of which he was hired for Genetivi's expedition as a driver and delver. Rasan. Tamathran Rasan was last seen in Dragon Age Those Who Speak as a female priest of the Qun. Rasan's role has been to determine what is done with captives of the Qun. She will interpret the Qun with regards to how it applies to those outside of it. Rasan has served directly under the Arakun and was long ago chosen as the Arakun's eventual successor by the rest of the priesthood. Recently, Rasan has taken great interest in Fen'Harel and his scheme, as of which she led the Qunari Antam unofficially in Tevinter to search for Fen'Harel's true name. This has been an unsanctioned operation, considering the Arashok is the only member of the Qun who leads the Antam. Therefore, Rasan revealed to Brother Genetivi that, quote, her Antam are in Tevinter unofficially. Rasan uncovered that Fen'Harel's true name isn't Solas, but actually Pride. With this true name, she could track the best and worst of him, find flaws, exploit weaknesses, and know what he had failed to be. Rasan believed that there is no greater advantage than to know an enemy's true name. And so Rasan's quest continues to uncover Fen'Harel's scheme while hunting Genetivi, Laudine, and Philem Abad. Herald had the plan by Ryan Cormier. Barv. Barv is a dwarven Lord of Fortune. He has spent decades of his life as a treasure hunter. Consequently, he has lots of long scars over his body and a crooked back. Be that as it may, Barv enjoys the life of a Lord of Fortune. It has provided all the thrills he's ever craved. After a botched robbery job at the Grand Tourney went sideways, Barv and his elven Lord of Fortune companion, Elim, fled into Starkhaven's forest. Herald, Barv's partner, was killed during the escape. However, they successfully were able to retrieve their target, a powerful and ancient amulet. The two Lord of Fortunes located Panstot, their hired guard from Tantivale. The tournament knights caught up and surrounded the group. They claimed that one of them had stolen the celebrant, the legendary greatsword granted to the winner of the Grand Tourney. Panstot had stolen the blade on behalf of Lady Lucy. In exchange, Lucy would help find Panstot's sister, who had headed to the Anderfels to become a Grey Warden. After a rambunctious fight, Panstot was killed, Barv and Elim were fatally wounded, the knights were able to retrieve the celebrant, and Lady Lucy was imprisoned. Barv only survived because he wore the mysterious amulet that restored his wounds. However, Elim was killed. Having picked himself up, Barv made his way to the nearest village downriver, to the place where Herald always used to get drunk. He handed a very familiar elven squire the amulet and finished his job. Veya. Introduced in Dragon Age Knight Errant, Veya is a Ferelden elven rogue who serves Sir Aaron as his elven squire. Barv's partner, Herald, had contacted Veya specifically to take the amulet to Northern Tevinter. Accompanied by Sir Aaron, the two toasted to Herald's memory with Barv before setting on their next adventure. An Old Crow's Old Tricks by Aaron Lebray. Lisuf/Old Nan. Lisuf is an old member of the Antivan Crows. She has a kind and wrinkled face, and her eyes are of someone who has lived a long life. In the middle of the Tevinter Imperium, over the Notion Sea, Lisuf made herself known as Old Nan, a trading merchant who was known for selling very fine wares. However, her actual intention was to fulfill an assassination contract on the Tevinter Centuri, who recently murdered Dale's children for control of resources in the area. Tevinter soldier Seneschal had chased down and killed a 12-year-old Dalish boy under the order of Magister Biclius. The Oranover clan purchased Lisuf to kill the remaining Centuri, as of which Lisuf tricked and suffocated Seneschal with a scarf made of Hala leather. As the Tevinter Centuri discovered an Antivan Crow was in their midst, Lisuf assassinated Magister Biclius. She evaded the rest of the army by having Tainsley, her 7-foot, elf-blooded human servant, dress up and pretend to be a Qunari. The Tevinter soldiers retreated as Lisuf and Tainsley celebrated by eating cookies, reveling in their victory, having redeemed the Oranover clan. 8 Little Talons by Courtney Woods. Katerina Delamorte. first Talon of the Antivan Crows, Caterina Della Morte has silver white hair swept into a bun and an impressive collection of rubies hanging from her ears and neck. Her two grandchildren are Lucanus and Ilario Della Morte. However, Lucanus is her favourite. She intends on promoting him to first Talon when it is time. Caterina called for a summit and invited each of the 8 Antivan Crow Talons together in one location to discuss the impending Qunari threat. The summit was held in a villa on an island at the centre of the lake called the Verdant Isle. Dante Balazar. Second Talon Dante Balazar was eliminated and portrayed by Emile Cortez, the 4th Talon. Lyra Valesti. Third Talon, Lyra Valesti, was also eliminated by Emile Cortez. Emile Cortez. 4th Talon, Emile Cortez, decided to portray the Antivan Crows. He struck up a peaceful agreement with the Qunari. Cortez agreed to eliminate all the other 7 Talons with the assumption that the Qunari would honour their deal and occupy a peaceful conquest of Antiva and its people. As a trade-off, the Cortez family would be the only house leading the Antivan Crows. With this machination in play, Cortez killed the 2nd, 3rd and 8th Talon before Viago, Tia and the rest of the Antivan Crow Talons unmasked Cortez's conniving plot and then defeated their brethren. Viago de River. Last seen in Dragon Age Deception, 5th Talon Viago de River helped thwart Emile Cortez's scheme. Viago and Tia have since headed to Antiva City to inform the royals of Antiva in preparation for the Qunari War. The Crows also plan to recruit more Talons for their ranks as they just lost 4 leaders thanks to Cortez's scheme. Bolivar Nero. 6th Talon, Bolivar Nero, helped the rest of the Talons against Emile. After killing him, Bolivar was the first to leave the scene. Viago believed that it was for the best. Bolivar didn't have much to offer to this war effort. Andaratia Cantori. Last seen in Dragon Age Deception, 7th Talon Andaratia Cantori, otherwise known as Tia, helped uncover Emile's scheme alongside Viago. She has since headed to Antiva City with Viago to warn the Antivan nobles and recruit more Talons. Guli Ariani. 8th Talon, Guli Ariani, was eliminated by Emile Cortez. Since Cortez's agreement was foiled, the Qunari are now heading to Antiva with a full invasion in mind. Should the Qunari decide to attack, the assassins must present a unified force. The Dragon Age Day short story The Wake furthered 8 Little Talons' plot. Ilario Della Morte, Viago de River, and Tia Cantori mourned the loss of Lucanus Della Morte, the heir to the first Talon. For reasons unknown, Lucanus Della Morte has mysteriously died. Perhaps the Venatori Malefica Zara Renata discovered his flaws and eventually murdered him. Or perhaps Lucanus is pretending to be dead. Regardless, it seems the next heir to the first Talon is Ilario Della Morte. Lucanus did say to Ilario that death is his calling, so perhaps Lucanus is truly dead. Hold on to that thought for the future. Half Up Front by John Epler. Vadis. Vadis is a former Tevinter Altus. She left her life of nobility behind to pursue a romantic relationship with Irene Cestus, her father's elven servant. Vadis has since built a reputation as a crafty thief. In Minrathous, Vadis was hired by a mysterious elven lady to find and steal a relic called Dumat's Folly. Supposedly, it was a piece of the Black City itself. Together, Irene and Vadis infiltrated the Archon's palace. They discovered a center case where Dumat's Folly had been. However, until recently, the glass display was empty. They found large footprints and a blood trail that led down a tunnel with Qunari Ben Hasraf instructions regarding this relic. They pressed on through the tunnel and found a fake model of Dumat's Folly, believing that the Qunari had the real relic. The pair headed to the Qunari's new Davarad, a ship headed to Ravane. Vadis uncovered the real Dumat's Folly on deck, when suddenly her patron, the mysterious elven lady, revealed herself. She approached from the shadows and claimed to be an agent of Fen'Harel. She declared that she acted freely for the Dread Wolf to bring back what was once theirs and what must be theirs again. She wore a simple robe embroidered with an unknown symbol. Her plan was to trick and frame Vadis into stealing a powerful and dangerous artifact that was integral to Fen'Harel's plans. This relic was in actuality a magical bomb that was supposed to be used by Vadis destroying the Qunari's Davarad. This would have created a calamity feud between the Qunari Ben Hasraf and Tevinter people. If each party had discovered that an Altus thief attacked Qunari lands using this bomb, it would cause immediate chaos for all of Vadis. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. The agent of Fen'Harel committed suicide to avoid further interrogations. Vadis used her magic and forced the Davarad out to the sea where it exploded with few casualties. One of the Qunari Ben Hasraf agents took Vadis and Irene to a tavern in Kontar. Gat. Last seen in Dragon Age Inquisition, Gat is an elven agent of the Cunari Ben Hasrith. He shared the Cune's knowledge on the agent of Fen'Harel's scheme. He then asked if they want to seek revenge against the Dread Wolf, then they should seek a dwarf in Kirkwall, because he will want to hear what they've got to say about the agents of Fen'Harel. Even more than that, he'll have work for the two of them. Vadis and Iraine decided to head to Kirkwall to meet Varric Tefris, but first took a stop to see Valrayor together for the first time. The Dreadwolf take you by Patrick Weeks. Charter. Last seen in Dragon Age Inquisition, Charter is an elven agent of the Inquisition who worked very closely within Liliana's spy network. In Hunterfell, Nevarra, at a tavern called the Tea House, the same name as my private Discord server that you can join if you become a patron or channel member, Charter invited the best spies in Phaedus for a roundhouse meeting to discuss the Dreadwolf and his scheme. A Carter assassin or Legion bard, Mortalatasi mage, and for the first time, an Executor agent presented themselves at Charter's summit. The Tevinter and the Cunari Ben Hasrith both declined their attendance at this meeting. As each faction representative shared their slightly fabricated perspectives on the Dreadwolf and his Red Lyrium idol, the group grew tired of each other's white lies and false truths. They began to argue until their truths were finally revealed, by which point the Orlesian Bard had already killed the Executor before they could share their own insights. The Bard then froze the Mortalatasi mage and the Carter assassin. He took off his mask and revealed himself as Solas. Solas. In a desperate attempt to understand what the Inquisition and a few other high-profile factions knew, Solas disguised himself as an Orlesian bard. He understands that the powers against him in Phaedus are not fools, and there are many who oppose him. When he revealed himself, Solas looked tired and sad. He said that telling the Inquisitor what he intended to do in Trespasser was a moment of weakness. He admitted that he's prideful, hot-headed, and foolish. He then told Charter to tell the Inquisitor that he's sorry. Finally, the Dreadwolf. Whether a separate or sundered being from Solas, or his own shape-shifting form, the Dreadwolf appeared in the Fade with wings of fire that resolved themselves into a horde of lesser demons. He is lupin in appearance, but the size of a high dragon, with shaggy spiked hide and 6 burning eyes like a pride demon. The Fade is his natural home, and the spirits there serve him willingly. The mysterious Red Lyrium idol belongs to him, and he wants it back. The Dreadwolf declared that if anyone ever binds the spirit, then your life is his. This is particularly difficult for the Mortalatasi, considering their entire culture is dependent on binding displaced spirits to corpses. From this moment, the Dreadwolf has a ritual in the Fade. Binding spirits and using blood magic undoes his work. Therefore, he has decided these types of magics will not be tolerated, and he will eliminate anyone who dare use them in the future. For now, his ritual and future plans are largely unknown. In any regard, the Dreadwolf has risen and is preparing his scheme to destroy the Veil and reclaim the Elven Kingdom. With that said, that's all the major characters mentioned and introduced in Tevinter Nights that I personally feel are paving the way forward and may potentially have some involvement in the future Dragon Age game. Let me know your thoughts down below. Which characters did you enjoy the most in Tevinter Nights? Who would you like to see in the next game? What scenarios and circumstances would you like to see these particularly new Tevinter Nights characters in? And who appealed to you most in Tevinter Nights? And who has the most plot potential going forward? Let me know all your thoughts down below. But thank you so much for anyone who has watched this video from its entirety. I genuinely really appreciate it. But until next one, I've been Jackdaw, and I should go. Whoa, 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 whoa.